Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to The Explainer. If you're tuning in today, chances are you're caught in one of the most, well, honestly, incredibly frustrating paradoxes in the modern corporate job market. You know the drill. You've put in the grueling hours, you've mastered the technologies, and you absolutely know your stuff inside and out. Your technical skills? Undeniable. But when it comes to the actual job hunt, complete and utter radio silence. You apply, you wait, and you just get ghosted. Today, we're going to unpack a comprehensive playbook that tackles this exact issue head-on. We're going to figure out how to take your professional profile from being completely ignored to actively securing those interviews. Getting views, but no recruiter calls? Yeah, we've all been there. Here is the exact situation so many tech and corporate job seekers, whether you're navigating the intense market in the US or over in India, find themselves in right now. You feel like you're doing everything right, you know? You're actively applying on platforms like Naukri or LinkedIn, you're updating your profile. Maybe you even check your stats and see, hey, I'm showing up in search appearances. You're getting a few views here and there. But despite those views, the relevant recruiter actions just aren't matching up. The phone simply isn't ringing. It's maddening, right? When this happens, it's so incredibly easy to doubt yourself and just assume, well, maybe I don't have enough experience or maybe my skills are outdated. But honestly, in my experience mentoring professionals, the problem is rarely a lack of skills. So, here's our game plan for this explainer. Think of this as a roadmap for a professional profile audit. We'll start with number 1, the real misconception. Then we'll break down 4 major gaps. Gap 1 is positioning, Gap 2 is ATS keywords, Gap 3 covers platform consistency, and Gap 4 tackles experience structure. Finally, we'll wrap things up with number 6, a much-needed reality check. All right, kicking things off with the real misconception. It's not your skills that are failing you. I really need you to internalize this paradigm shift right off the bat. If you're getting views but 0 calls, it is highly likely that your actual technical capabilities are perfectly fine. The real issue, the absolute root cause of the silence, is how your resume and online profiles are positioned, how that data is structured, and how poorly they align with the highly specific ways recruiters are actually searching for talent. To actually fix this, we can't just rely on that generic advice you see floating around the internet. You know the kind. Just tweak your headline or just stuff a bunch of keywords in there. Actually scratch that. That surface-level advice literally doesn't work anymore. Fixing a broken profile requires a deep, integrated analysis. A true profile audit workflow examines your actual experience against your target roles. It looks at your daily responsibilities, your core domain skills, the exact structure of your existing resume, and how you're presenting yourself across distinct sections on Naukri and LinkedIn. And finally, it measures all of that against real-world recruiter search visibility. It's like a giant puzzle, and every piece needs to fit perfectly. Moving right along to Gap 1, profile positioning, or the danger of being everything to everyone. Look, when you want a job badly, your natural instinct is to cast the widest net possible, right? You want to show them you can do literally anything they ask. But here's the catch. In the modern recruitment landscape, trying to be a jack of all trades often makes you entirely invisible. When you list a dozen distinct skills at the exact same level of expertise, you completely dilute your impact. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what I mean. On the left, we've got a technically strong profile. It lists Java, Spring Boot, React, DevOps, AWS, and AI. Now, this person clearly knows a lot, but a recruiter looking at this is just confused. Are they a front-end developer, a cloud engineer, a machine learning specialist? It's a mess. Now look at the right. This profile is properly positioned and highly targeted. Java backend developer. Boom. If a recruiter needs a backend developer, they instantly understand on that crucial first impression that this professional is positioned primarily for Java and Spring Boot opportunities. The exact same logic applies whether you're in QA, data, banking, or KYC domains. Sharp positioning wins every single time. Which brings us to Gap 2, ATS and keyword alignment. Placement is just as important as presence. A massive mistake job seekers make is assuming that just because a piece of technology is typed somewhere in their 4-page document, they're fully optimized for the applicant tracking system, the ATS. No way. That is simply not true. Having a technology present in some random bullet point on page 3 is not enough to trigger high search visibility. Let's break down how this builds into what we call a natural keyword hierarchy. Important keywords need to be intentionally placed across all of these specific sections: the resume headline, the professional summary, the core skills section, your professional experience, your project details, and platform-specific fields. Think about a DevOps professional, for example.
They might have incredible hands-on experience with AWS, Docker, Kubernetes, Terraform, and CI/CD pipelines. But if those critical keywords aren't structured properly, if they aren't woven naturally into the headline and core skills, the profiles simply won't scream DevOps expert when a recruiter runs a targeted query.
Now, a quick warning and a principle we really have to anchor on here. The objective is not to add random keywords. The objective is to align genuine skills with targeted roles. We are absolutely not keyword stuffing here. Please do not just paste a block of invisible white text at the bottom of your resume hoping to trick the system. It doesn't work, and human recruiters will immediately toss your application in the trash when they catch it. True optimization is about strategic alignment, beautifully presenting the real, hard-earned experience you actually possess.
Next up is Gap 3, platform consistency, bridging the resume, Naukri, and LinkedIn divide. Guys, you would be absolutely shocked at how often I see a candidate's resume tell one story, their Naukri profile tell a completely different story, and their LinkedIn look like it belongs to a third person entirely. Your profiles across these different mediums should never look like completely disconnected professionals.
Let's walk through this alignment table. It breaks down the critical touchpoints: headline, key skills, summary, and target role, mapped across your resume, Naukri, and LinkedIn. The positioning, the core skills, and the target roles absolutely must be reasonably consistent across all three. But here's where it gets a little tricky, and why strategic prioritization is vital. Platforms like Naukri have strict limitations. They literally cap the number of key skills you can display, whereas LinkedIn might give you a lot more breathing room. You can't just copy and paste your whole resume everywhere. You have to actively review those fields and prioritize the absolute most relevant skills for the specific role you want, rather than just randomly deleting things to meet a character limit.
All right, Gap 4, experience and project presentation, showcasing impact over basic responsibilities. We really need to shift from listing dry, basic responsibilities to showcasing actual technical ownership and impact. Too many professionals have fantastic, highly complex experience, but their resume reads like a boring job description, responsible for writing code, tasked with server maintenance. Yawn. That tells a recruiter absolutely nothing about how good you actually are at your job. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the incredibly powerful 4-step framework it lays out. Whenever you're detailing a project, don't just dump a massive list of software you used. Instead, structure it exactly like this. Step 1, clearly state what you worked on. Step 2, list the specific technologies used in that exact context. Step 3, detail the exact responsibilities you handled. We're talking your technical ownership and architecture decisions. And, crucially, Step 4, state the impact or outcome you actually achieved. This framework is a game changer. It transforms a flat, boring list into a compelling narrative that proves to a recruiter you understand the why behind the what.
Section 5, taking control, the information needed for optimization. If you want to run a successful audit on your own profile, or maybe have a professional mentor handle the optimization for you, you need to gather the right data. It's not magic, guys. It's data processing. You need to clearly define your target roles, your preferred location, your expected salary or current CTC, your notice period, and your target industries. And a super important side note on safety, a legitimate optimization review will never ever require your actual passwords for platforms like LinkedIn or Naukri. Keep those safe.
Now for Section 6, the reality check, setting professional expectations. I think it is absolutely crucial in this space to be incredibly honest, ground ourselves in reality, and step far away from the hype. The job market is tough right now, for sure, and it's essential that we approach it with integrity and a really clear head. So the crucial point here is crystal clear. I do not provide fake promises like 100% interview guarantee. And honestly, nobody should. In this industry, you're going to see a lot of sleazy salesman tactics, guaranteeing jobs or a certain number of HR calls if you just buy their magic resume template. It is completely fake. No one can guarantee an interview because literally no one controls the entire market. Acknowledging that reality is the very first step to actually taking control of your own career journey. Let's break down the actual variables of the job hunt. Final recruiter actions depend on a massive web of things: overall market openings, highly specific recruiter requirements, your location, and your notice period. You literally cannot control macroeconomics. But notice the variables at the bottom that you absolutely can control: the quality of your profile positioning, your structural keyword alignment, and your consistent platform activity. You have to stop stressing over the top variables and ruthlessly optimize the ones entirely within your power. And that really brings us full circle today. If your technical experience is genuinely strong, but your resume and online profiles simply aren't presenting it properly, a structured audit will identify your major blockages. By fixing your positioning, aligning those keywords naturally, maintaining platform consistency across the board, and rewriting your experience to show real impact, you transition from being a confusing candidate to a highly targeted, highly visible professional. I want to leave you with this final provocative question to reflect on today. Your technical skills are undeniable, but is your profile actually communicating them to the people who hold the keys to your next career move? Take a hard look at your resume today through the lens of this explainer. And hey, if you found this breakdown useful, please share it with a colleague or a friend who is actively looking for a job, but maybe struggling with recruiter visibility. Because remember, sometimes the problem isn't that you don't have the skills, it's just that the world can't see them yet. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy optimizing.